Today, we lift the veil on the world of professional athletes and we look at the skills and talent that are potentially transferable to the game of business. I'm with two of the finalist professional athletes in the NRL world that Australia's had, Luke Lewis and Jeremy Lattimore. Hey?
Thanks, Joe. I don't know about the finest, but thanks for having us, mate. It's great to be here.
Very humbled you put me in Luke's category, but I'll take it.
So, gents, you've just launched a new tech startup, FitnessMates, and I'm excited to talk about that today. But before we do that, let's get a little lens into the past. Talking about your professional footy careers, how many NRL games did you play at the top level between you?
And premierships between us. So.
No, we're not talking about premierships. I don't want to go there quite yet.
I was 182 NRL games.
Yeah.
Groove, you were over 300.
Yeah, it's 324. I got lucky. So,
324. So what have we got? Can anyone add that up?
Is that 400 and what'd you say? 80?
Yeah, 24.
So
and
we're at, we'll be 404, wouldn't it? No, 504.
4.
Any advances on 504?
Yeah, 504.
504. Hey, how good is that?
Let me just run a...
Yeah, just check. Just a little check.
I'm a numbers guy, and I'm
184 324.
No, 182. 506.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a valuer. I think it's 506.
Yeah.
The Apple iPhone says as much. So 506, guys. In professional sport, are numbers important? Stats important?
I don't believe so.
No?
Not me personally.
Really?
Because there's a lot of stats out there that don't get read. I can go and play with a player that's we'll do 20 carries for a certain amount of meters and certain whatever, but it's the stats that aren't counted. That you can't sort of see the efforts that you put in from marker, the kick pressures, the running holes on time, getting to your kick chase. They're not stats. So when you sit there and say numbers, there's things that can win big games, and a lot of the things that actually win the big games don't get put on stats. So I'm not a massive on stats.
Okay, you're not a massive on the stats that are measured, but you're sort of saying there are other things that
aren't measured that win big games.
Within a rugby league organisation, if you sit down in a video review on a Monday, reviewing a game, the coach will pick you apart if you don't have a crack in them areas. Louis talking about kick chase. If you're lazy and you don't get down and kick chase because you've had 2 carries that set because you want to get your stats up. Yeah. Then if you're lazy and you don't get in the kick chase, you're going to get a spray off the coaches on the Monday.
You're letting the team down.
So as a professional rugby league player, did either of you measure yourself based on formal numbers of any sort?
No, I didn't. I always went into a game with 3 focuses on what I had to do well, and I know if I did those 3 things that I'd be contributing to the team.
What were they?
Best thing. Well, mine was always kick chase, kick pressure, and marker tackles, really. Yeah. And then obviously always getting back in the defensive line and protecting my halfback. That was sort of my three or four things that I'd focus on. If I got those right, I knew it would put me in good stead of just playing a good game. Because you got to remember too, sometimes you take the field and you're not always feeling your best. So you've got to have 4 things to fall back on. So when you're not feeling that well, you can just continue to do. And then when you do feel really good and you've got a heap of energy and your teammate's a little bit flat, you can jump in, you can cover him a little bit. So.
Okay, what about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, probably similar to Louis, where in my notes in my phone, I'd have a few things that I'd look at in the preparation for a game and run hard, work hard, try and get off the line defensively. And because I come off the bench a lot of them 182, I think I was about 160 games, try and bring some energy and impact.
So you had it easy. You're on the bench.
Mate, let the sting come out of the game. Boys, I'm ready.
Yeah, no wonder you did well.
Yeah.
So the game of business, right? Are stats important in the game of business?
I think so.
There's obviously a lot of things to say yes. I'm a big believer you've just got to have a good team. And if you've got a good team behind you, I think that helps a lot way because then trust comes into it. And then if you can have that trust, then obviously the team environment starts to build, right? So, but I am a big believer in sport and business is very, very similar, right? So my thing and how the best way I can explain it is that, the very successful teams that I'd been in sport we had a great coach. We had a really good assistant coaches. We had a great leadership group, but we also had a team that bought into the system. Yeah. And that sort of all flowed, right? So we had to put the trust in the coach to come up with the right game plan. We had to put the trust into our assistant coaches that are giving us the right messages. And we had to take the message on and pass that to the players as a leadership group inside that group. And everyone had to jump on board and follow those systems. So I thought I wouldn't say they're stats or numbers, but having a good team in every department of the sport, and especially in rugby league, had to tick all those boxes, and we did all that. Or given us our best, I suppose, our best opportunity to move forward and win that game.
So part of what we're here today to talk about is something you've launched earlier in the week, which is FitnessMates.
Yeah, which
is a startup tech business, for want of a better word. And we'll talk about it in detail in terms of it's focused on the health and fitness sector, and I'm really interested to unwrap it with you. But before we do, you guys you got some other business interests. You're not resting on your laurels since you packed up your rugby league boots. You talked about the three things that you focused on the field previously.
Yeah.
When you're in business today, do you have that in your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got a team. Obviously, if we're talking about our, we do obviously player management as well, but we've got a great team.
Yeah.
And our team have all got little parts that they sort of are really good at and they focus on. And then we all come together as a group 3 times a week to make sure that we're ticking those boxes. But yeah, look, we have little focuses on what we want to achieve during the week. We'll come up with a bit of a plan on the Monday, execute Tuesday, Wednesday, sort of cap on that Thursday, come back together Friday, and then start planning for the following week. And
so this is United Group.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And tell me a bit about United Group. What?
Well, it sort of started probably, jump in, Latsy, too.
Yeah.
Started about 2 years ago. We started building a business based around putting together everything we need as an athlete off the field. Right? Okay. So our goal is to make the athlete on the field the best version they can possibly be on the field. So they purely just worry about being
who they are,
the athlete that they need to be, and becoming the best athlete they need to become in the time while they're in their sport.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, that's where me and Jeremy come in with Unite Group, is that we're there now to build wealth off the field, so you don't have to stress about when retirement comes. So he's actually creating a passive income for them when they retire, so that the drop from here to here isn't so big. There's only a little bit of a difference.
Because it's been a big cliff, right? For many players, like that have been celebrated players for years, and then it's almost like they've been on the scrap heap once they're finished.
You lose such a big part, and a lot of I think the problem lies is a lot of rugby league players and any form of athlete attach a big part of their identity to being a professional athlete. But the reality is, let's just use our career as an example. I retired at 33. What were you, 34?
34, yeah.
So essentially, you've got another 30 years in the business game, or as long as you want to go. If you love what you're doing, you'll keep going. So it's not attaching too much of your identity to that part of it. But with what we're building, so Lou was just talking about a business. So that used to be called LCI Sports. I was a mortgage broker since I retired. And then our other business partner, Jaden, he was also a broker. And then we had another group called which originally was Unite. That was just merchant apparel. So we've literally just brought them together, as well as adding on player management, which Luke's looking after. And we're looking to merge with a couple other businesses at the moment in different sports. And then there's an agency component, which is sort of the new age of social media management, brand management, sponsorship, and helping athletes manage their brand.
So I want to tease out a number of those aspects, I guess. But before we do, it seems to me that to be a professional athlete, you've got to be very focused on what you're doing to achieve something that's, beyond the average, well beyond the average. So is that the same in business? Like, do you now that you're experiencing the business world, having experienced that professional athlete world, do you feel the same about how you go about it, or is it not? Is it a different? If it's a different thing, because what you're doing with United, right, is you're saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I'm hearing is, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Athlete, you do what you do and focus 120% of your time on that, and we'll handle the other aspects that will build your wealth over time for when you're not able to do what you do.
Yes. And also build businesses, right? That's where, because you got to remember, the biggest thing you actually get out of sport is your brand. Mm-hmm. You actually got a business there, but you just got to now build that business while you're in that sport, which is your brand, your name.
Yeah, okay.
So that's where that's another part that we want to continue to build that, so that when they do walk out, they now can put everything that they've learned in their sport into the business and continue to build their brand outside.
I understand, but back to the focus question, you might take it for granted because you've both been in the world of being a professional athlete, but like as I know it, you have to be extremely focused.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have to do the same thing in business? Do you?
I think it's very, very similar.
Do you?
So I just go back to sport because I was in sport for a long time, and I wouldn't say I'm a businessman by any chance. We're just learning our trade at the moment. We've got a lot of steps to learn,
bro. I'm several decades older than you. I'm still learning my trade.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Fair. Like in business, you don't learn until someone puts a dump of dirt on your coffin.
Yeah. 100%. But with sport, for me, I was always goal orientated, right? So I was always driven by having a goal. How do I break that goal down into a monthly, weekly, daily, hourly, basically plan to make sure that I could execute what I had to do. And I've had a lot of great people around me that are businessmen in the outside of the world who would help me with that as well. So, mate, it's very similar to business for us at the moment. We have a plan and where we want to go to in the next 5-7 years. How do we do it? And then we had to sort of set up a roadmap on how to get there, and then just start a process and then learn along the way. But when think about this looks like the best process, but we've got to also know that there is a way that we might have to just sort of navigate bits and pieces through it to get to our main goal. But very goal driven in sport, and business is very similar.
Similar in business,
goal driven.
And again, we've still got our training wheels on. We were just talking on the way here. He's 6 years retired this week, and I'm about 5 years 2 weeks ago. So we're still learning a lot, but I'm sure even Unite Group, what it looked like at the start of the year when it first come together to now, there's probably been 2 add-ons, and we've fully sort of changed the trajectory of the business. So I can only imagine in 12 months where it's going to be. And I'm sure with FitnessMates, because we've only gone live on Monday, I'm sure there's going to be add-ons and detours as we go along, because, the market's constantly changing, and we're trying to tailor it to make it appealing and try and drive the masses to this app.
And understanding as well.
So let me pick up that very briefly. Former guest on this podcast is Tyron Peachy.
The Peach.
The Peach.
We spoke to him on the way here.
Shout out to the Peach.
And, called out Reed Money yesterday.
And he did. When's it on, I wonder?
Hopefully end of November.
Who are you going to call it? Huh? Who are you calling it?
We'll hold the phone.
Yeah. Anyways, look, maybe you announce it here at the end of the...
Maybe. We don't know who yet.
So Peach, I said to him, what were you, in terms of your brand on the field, what were your 3 elements that you brought to that Penrith team in your view? And he said, well, James, there were 3 easy ones. I had to be adaptable. You were mentioning some of the aspects of being adaptable in terms of thinking about FitnessMates.
Yep.
I had to be adaptable. I had to be resilient. And I had to be a competitive little prick.
Mm-hmm.
Those were his 3 brand. Can you reflect on those? Do you think?
The resilience, I think, and Louis can speak to this as well, and you were talking about, transitioning from sport to business. And I think, especially team-based athletes, obviously individual athletes are a lot more selfish, but team-based athletes, I think you have so many applicable skills which can transition across. The resilience one, and just to be, I'm just going to use rugby league as an example because that's what Louis and I played. In a locker room of 30 boys, can't really show weakness. And whether that's, getting into each other in the locker room, taking the piss, having a laugh, playing first grade, getting judged on everything you do on the football field, getting dropped from first grade because you're not playing well, you get injured, you get let go by a club, you get told in people on the beers that you're a shit player. Like, there's all these things that your skin just has to get thicker and thicker. And I think with business, it puts you in good stead. And you have to be adaptable. Like Peach was saying, you have to be adaptable. Like he come into that team last year, he'd play centre, he'd play hooker, he'd play front row.
Amazing.
And that's, I think that we do have some advantages. And back to the team-based thing, like we can get along with different people from different cultures. And that's in a business room, I feel like Louis and I, again, I was a bit more of a journeyman than him, but we can walk into a room and talk to most people and find something we can speak about, which is the key to business, being able to talk to people.
So that's interesting, right? Because, I have a few years on you guys, and I talk to people about networking, right? Connections. And sometimes people look at me sort of strangely as if to say, well, what is that? We've got social media today. Do I really need to have in-person relationships and connections? I mean, tease that out a bit. I mean, how important do you think those networks are, guys, as you've moved into the business world?
Well, networks are everything, obviously, and it's relationships. I'm a big believer most things are done over relationships, not just done over a 5-second meet, right? So you got to sort of build a relationship and sort of have common ground and understanding and make sure you sort of get along with each other. Otherwise, it's never really going to work. Plus, we also like to have a lot of fun. If we're going into a room, we like to have a bit of banter, joke around, sort of just go with the flow sort of thing. But a couple of things that I found is most of our biggest deals that we've ever done so far in business all come from a relationship that's been built over a long period of time. And that's just by going up, and the relationship actually just started by going up and shaking someone's hand and saying, "G'day mate, I'm Luke, and what do you do?" And then just started from there, and then all of a sudden changing contacts, going out for a coffee, having a lunch, and then all of a sudden you become mates, and then next thing you know, we're doing something, they're doing something, and some of the best deals come together.
You really, go.
Yeah, and just off the back of that, and I think maybe because we're probably more service-based, I think you talk about social media, if you've got a good, clothing, if you make it look pretty and sexy on social media, you got models wearing your kit or whatever, you can push it through social media. You don't have to, but I think a lot of brands also, they vlog, so people want to go and watch them on YouTube, and they want to watch and see the content. So there's that element to it as well. I just think it's a little bit different to what we're doing, where, we need to have people trust us and have faith in what we're doing, especially with the Unite group. But FitnessMates may be a little bit different as we go along.
It's interesting, I just want to pick up a couple of things there, because you said you just go up and say good day. And I think there's a lot in that. There is a perception at the moment amongst a lot of people in business even that you don't go and say good day unless you need something.
Yeah.
And I say to people, that's the worst time to fucking say good day, so to speak. Excuse the language, right? Like, say good day because you want to take an interest. You're inquisitive and you're curious, right? And you just never know when that say good day will come around to be of value to the person you said good day to and or yourself.
The other thing is, it's not even just about what you get out of it. It's more some of the friendships we've made. Some of my best mates have actually been made from conversations where I've gone over and just started a conversation because they were in the same room. Then all of a sudden we just got along. We're all on the sort of same page. We like to have a joke, muck around. He was very similar. We just got along, and all of a sudden they become some of the mentors that you look back on because they've been in business for a long period of time, and you actually can lean on them from some sort of advice as well. So, mate, I reckon some of the best, some of my close mates of all businessmen, but they've all come from just having a general conversation, saying hello.
Sorry, group, I was going to jump in, and then we were actually having a conversation on the way over. Then we've got a few of them mates that you're talking about, mates / in our network, who only call us if they need something. And then all these people, I've got a lot of people over the years who've asked me for jerseys, but then don't support our businesses.
Yeah.
And I'm just, and we're at a point now, like, you're not going to help and support. And we never ask for nothing, but support your mates. But I've got all these people who are constantly asking for things. Oh, what's this? What's going on here? Can you make an intro?
But it's like that in the sporting world as well, right? So like there'll be a lot of people out there now that play sport in whatever field it is. But if they want something like tickets, or they want to get a video, or they want to get all this sort of stuff, they'll ask you for it, right? But then all of a sudden, when you're retired, it all goes away. It disappears.
Yeah, very interesting.
So, you know what I mean? So the other thing is that's what I found is that the ones who actually generally just want to actually know you, and they don't actually ever ask for anything. They just generally want to take an interest and say, mate, is there any way I can help you, or can we let's go have a coffee and just chew the fat and have a laugh? That's literally the best things that I've got out of it. And then they all continue. It's funny how they just slowly snowball and everything. Just everyone comes together. Then all the other ones who just sort of wanted stuff, they're there and they just disappear.
Gone. And there's commonalities you find, like you talk about them people who've been around forever with never ask, and then you end up having synergies. And there's something within business like, shit, we can work together here.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting. I mean, we value businesses, right?
Yeah.
So our bread and butter is valuing things you can't see, basically.
Yeah.
Like I was saying to Louis before, we can value bricks and mortar, but we don't like it because it's a bit boring.
Well, it sort of goes back to what you were saying earlier, right? The stats.
Well,
we value the stats that you can't see.
Yeah. Because goodwill, people argue about goodwill, right? Can you get goodwill value? Does it exist? It's an intangible thing, right?
Yeah.
But I can tell you, businesses we've valued that have got the strongest value are ones where the owners and the team have innate networks and connection over long periods. And I mean, part of valuing a business is figuring out the sustainability of what the business is doing going forward, right? You can easily look in the rear vision mirror and say, well, how did I do? I made a profit or made a loss, right? But at the end of the day, that's in someone's pocket and it's in the tax office's pocket and it's done. But the issue is, how long is that business going to last? And is it going to roll on like a snowball with its own steam? Or does it have to be pushed up the hill, with a big Penrith pack every time to make the next gate, so to speak? And so those businesses that have really deep networks and connections with their communities, their clients, their suppliers, their people, that they can, develop over the years, they're the ones that have got the A1 value.
Yeah.
And look, the other part of that is, it'd be no surprise they've got strong brands.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about big corporates here. I mean, sure, there's some big corporates, but there's some beautiful private businesses built over many years that they've got strong brands in the markets they're in.
Yeah.
United's about
Unite.
Sorry, Unite.
That's
Unite.
right.
I didn't think you were an airway.
That'd be
Well,
nice.
hey, maybe
That'd be
you
nice.
can go to.
Don't give us ideas, James. Don't give us any more ideas.
No, we'll be writing it down on the way.
There's already enough add-ons.
Unite's about building a brand for those athletes, is it?
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So what are the elements of a brand that are important in terms of building? Because am I right in saying you're kind of helping them build the value of their brand?
Correct. And that's, what's that thing that Jaden runs them through? Where
Brand identity.
brand identity. So trying to understand the individual, right? So
Yeah.
Toby Ridolph, who's now managed by Luke, Jaden ran him through all these questions. And then now a deck's come back on everything to do with Toby, which, we can go directly to a sponsor and go, hey, this is what Toby Ridolph's about.
And it's all about what he lives and breathes and what he believes in.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So it's playing
there's
the
obviously, yeah. I sort of, like, if you talk about mine, like, I might have three things I love. I love training. I love, doing business, hanging out with friends, right?
Yeah.
Then on the flip side, I like to go and have a bit of fun. Like, I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. I love to have things that just sort of
jump off a cliff. Or
like stuff like skydiving, all that sort of stuff, right? So I'd build my brand based around things I love to do, because that way when I'm out there doing it, I'm living and breathing it.
Yeah.
And that's
Nice.
sort of, so we try and, get the athlete or whoever wants to come in and get their brand identity back, sort of break it all down, work out what they love, what they want to do. Then we start to then put together a bit of an idea and a pitch around how we can sell him to, corporates, and actually start building his brand.
Yes.
But at the same time, why is he going to thrive in that area? Because he's doing things he loves.
Yeah, right.
There's no point going, oh, mate, I want to be classed as luxury, but he's not really luxury. I want to drive around in beautiful cars, but he doesn't really care about beautiful cars because it's not really going to suit his style, right?
So it's his value proposition that he's offering to the market, basically.
Yeah,
Literally.
correct.
Yeah.
But that's so business orientated, isn't it? Like,
It is.
we just made the jump back to business there, really, because I guess you said before their brand is their business. Right?
Yes, correct.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's how,
And that's how, even when I was playing, I never looked at it that way, because I wasn't really into business, and I loved the idea of it, but I never put my head down into it because I was focused on playing sport, and that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I did learn a lot from sport. And then when slowly I had some really good guys on the outside that I trust a lot started to explain to me, business isn't that much different to sport, especially a team sport.
Yeah.
And then it started to sort of make sense to me, and you keep slowly just putting little things in place to make sure that it rolls, right? But I wish I knew what I've learned over the last probably 3 years now when I was playing, because I would have been able to build my brand while I was playing, which is probably the best time to do it.
Yeah.
So then when you do walk out, you've got something to fall back on straight away, and you've got to focus that you can get straight into. Then you can start setting up your day, right? Because as an athlete, you get told what to do, where to be, how to do it on a consistent basis on the daily. Everything's done for you. The only time nothing's done for you is in the 6 weeks that you get off.
Yeah, that's interesting. So as an athlete, because I'll put it another way, in business, the successful business owners that I knock around with, they have a lot of method and process and repeatability around how they go about things. But they also have this wonderful thing called gut feel. And they use that in business over time as a result of experience and other things. Do you have gut feel as an athlete or no?
Yes, 1,000,000%.
You do?
Yeah, I believe you do, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they say, and I'm just using Joey Johns as an example, so he would like a few plays ahead know where they're going so that he could do something down the other side. So I think that's a bit of gut feel. That thing he did in the grand final where he went to the side, boom, come back.
I think Nathan Cleary's performance in last year's grand final.
In last year's grand final is a good example, right? That last try.
I think he just sort of, well, things aren't working at the moment. I'm just going to have to, my gut's telling me to start playing.
I'm just going to go through here.
And then turned on that 20 minutes. It was amazing.
It was amazing.
The best 20 minutes you ever seen a game.
It was incredible, wasn't it?
I think, gut feel is real. It's like the same thing. I love to play a bit of poker. And if my gut's telling me, just call him. He's something I think he might be bluffing, and you call and you get it right. There's nothing better, right? You followed your gut. Oh, gut feels huge.
But that's the spontaneity, right? Isn't it? Like there's an element of spontaneity in gut feel.
I get that walking past the pokey sometimes. I'm like, oh shit, I don't get that feel. I just feel the coach coming.
So what's the spontaneity? Oh, you just go the other way.
Yeah, no, straight in there. It's like pulls me in.
That's gold.
I think that's an element of that, right?
Yeah.
Like if I look at the really valuable businesses, and some of them, like I recall a business, right, and it's that in round figures, 10 mil turnover, right? It's in the building services sector. It makes 3.5 to 4 mil, and it has done for 20 years every year in profit. And it's got its issues, right? Because it's got the two owners are very there's a lot of concentration risk around them because they do the driving, right? But they've got a strong team culture, but they've chosen to do the driving.
Also, they love to stay on the tools.
Yeah. And they've been able to do it and figure it out how. But it's a juicy business, right? And it has been. It's not going to be, it wasn't valued as much when they wanted to get out of it because of that concentration.
Yeah, okay.
But part of it is they had strong methods and processes, but they also had an element of spontaneity and judgment, right? Where they would say, and I picked it up a bit when you're talking about Toby, got to be the right fit. So they were thinking about, okay, which clients are we going to deal with here? We could deal with everyone and have a go at them and push our top line up, maybe 30 million rather than 10, or we could just pick and choose who we're best suited to.
Yeah.
Who pays their bills, who cares about quality in terms of what we're delivering. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's very similar with our Unite brand, is that when we bring on athletes, we're the same thing. We don't want to just be bringing on any willy-nilly athlete for the sake of bringing them on. We want to make sure that it comes down to, first of all, you're like-minded,
right?
Similar to what we're like.
Yeah, okay.
That you're driven, and you're willing to put the team and the club first.
So you have a hard time getting me on there.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I reckon you
just
fit it perfect.
But you pick and choose is what you're saying.
Well, that's where we want to get to. Like we feel like there's been a lot of people that have reached out, but a lot of people, I think, looking a little bit different to what I'm looking at it. Like I'm sort of looking at it as making sure that these athletes, again, being the best version of themselves. Are you going to rock up every morning and do your extras? Are you going to be there on time? Are you doing your rehabilitation right? Are you giving yourself every opportunity to play your best football on the weekend?
Yeah.
Are you, if they're doing that, it means the club's happy. It's keeping that club happy at the same time. And then that way, if anyone in the background starts to ring up and say, mate, I'm really interested in X, Y, Z, and they ring the club and do a bit of a background research, what's the thing they're saying? Mate, champion fella, hard worker, always first to train, always last to leave, always strapped, doesn't leave any stone unturned. Then his sale becomes easy, right?
Yeah.
But if you've got players that are just going, I just want to rock up, I want to get my money, I'm always late, I don't do all the extras, I don't do this, that, and the other. Well, first of all, you're not putting your best foot forward, and you're not playing. You're actually leaving a lot of opportunity on the table there. You know what I mean? Like you're already there. Yeah. Like I look at Nathan Cleary, I love listening to Nathan Cleary speak, and he talks about I train hard every day, no matter what, because I don't want to get to the end of my career and go, what if?
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So he would be the ideal client. Yeah. Because not because he's so good, because his mental aptitude and to challenging himself on a daily basis to be the best he could be.
Got to have a special ticker, right?
Absolutely.
And I'll jump in there because I played in Nathan Cleary's first season in the NRL, and he was literally on the field for like an hour after field sessions would finish, working on his craft.
That's amazing, isn't it?
And I played with other halves who are regarded in say top 5 to 10 players, but work nowhere near as hard as him on their craft. Like literally off the field when the middles are going off the field and you can be out there. I think because you can work on your kicking game, your passing game, and he literally would stay out there and work that hard on everything. And he was 19.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Working on your craft. I'll make a business analogy because, I recall a client of mine and he's in he's 40 and he's built a business that's a national business, but it trades internationally with heavy equipment, right? And he built it from scratch, started it up. He was a parts interpreter. Worked as a young guy and basically started it up from there. And he's it's a business. Let's call it a 60 mil turnover biz, private biz. Him and his wife own it, and they've done very well, but worked very hard. Probably 15 years old, the biz. But he knows his craft so well. It's like every day is a day at university understanding his industry, his sector, his business. But he doesn't just look under the bonnet of his business. He wants to know what's happening in his industry, what's coming up, what are the trends, what are the issues, who's going out the back door. Not that he worries about competitors. In fact, he probably doesn't. But it's all sensory stuff to say, well, how am I going to navigate through this? But I think it builds that capability, but it also builds an understanding of the environment you're going into as a business. Yeah?
Yeah.
So interesting how you reflect on that. The other thing I want to talk about, you selective dudes. I love that, being selective about your clients. When you're young in business, it's sometimes hard, right? Because, you've got to pay the bills and build the brand and test the proposition. And therefore, you've got to take on clients that may or may not be the right fit sometimes. In valuing a business, back 5 years ago, we used to spend 70-80% of our time just looking at the financials of the business, how to perform. And we might look at some forecasts, but pretty much should be looking in the revision. Now, we look at the brand. We spend 30% of our time looking at the financials, the stats we were talking about before, and 70% of the time we're looking at the brand, how that brand is experienced in the marketplace. And one of the key factors we look at under the brand are the client base, right? And to me, it's like a portfolio of shares, right? If you've got a shitty portfolio and it's not balanced, or it's got some high risk roughy stocks, right, that you just don't know what they're going to do, well, maybe you can have a couple of those and take a chance on them. But the more balanced and valuable that client portfolio is, the more valuable the business is.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're the people paying the bills, and you're exposed as a business. You're exposed to those guys. You joined at the hip. So client portfolio is a key thing in business, and that's why I'm interested to hear you talk about how you select that, and you're looking at brand traits of your client, which is cool, I think.
That's good to know too.
Yeah, especially on the athlete side. Because we also we help businesses as well. So we've got a lot of our business mates who are involved in our advisory side of the business, as well as we're starting to get a few gyms in the social media management stuff.
And the other thing is a lot of people think we only do athletes. We do just families who really need help with all this stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, but we're focusing on the athletes at the moment because they earn so much money in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
And if they don't look after it, it could all be gone before it even, when it's all over, it could be all gone. So I want to make sure that they can, put it away and have a little bit of a nest egg at the end. So, but we deal with everyone. It's not just, we want to help people out and sort of get them into a position where they can live life and actually have fun a bit,
Yeah, but you've got, in terms of services in United, you've got...
Unite.
United Airways, that's right, we're getting there.
Yeah, apart from the Airways, have you got you've got some financial services in the group.
Yeah. So the UA group essentially stands for Unite, and then you have advisory, agency, athlete, and then active. So active's like all merchant apparel. So we do that with sporting clubs, businesses. We are the main
personal
supplier to a
brands.
Nines comp. Yeah, we do personal brands with Victor Radley and a few other athletes. Then we have agency, which is what we spoke about before. Advisory, which is everything financial.
Yeah.
As well as we offer property development stuff through a group we're aligned with.
Yeah.
And then obviously
lending's
athletes.
a big part too.
Yeah, lending, because Jaden and I were both brokers.
Yeah.
We have a fair loan book which is building as well.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is good. Yeah, so we've got everything covered at the moment.
Yeah, so everything covered except this
Since United Airlines,
except United
got the airlines on.
Like, yeah, what do you reckon about that? Like the athletes need to go. You know, they need to have a bit of travel.
The NFL, I mean, if we can get if Louis can start managing a few NFL boys, they all have private jets over there. So United Airlines takes off.
I wonder if Richard Branson here, so maybe you could just jump on, have a chat with him. We might be able to get like
Richie.
Yeah. Call out to Richard. We'd like to connect with you, Richard.
Yeah.
We don't want anything.
No,
just a free jet.
Just a couple
with
of
Unite. Unite on it.
Unite. I'd be happy just to catch up for a coffee and a feed. Imagine.
Let's
go to Necker Island.
Who would you like to catch up with? A coffee and a feed. If you had three choices,
one would be The Rock. I love him.
Yeah,
I love The Rock. I think he's
all right.
Very smart man, motivated, disciplined, committed.
Just amazing.
Just
yeah,
awesome. Someone like definitely Richard Branson. I love what he's about, where he's come from, and how he's built his his lifestyle and everything else. And then I'd probably like to have someone like Kevin Hart or something like that, just have a bit of fun with.
Kevin's mad, isn't he?
Yeah, so
he's
sort of
cool guy.
ticks all the boxes.
Yeah,
I'll go Warren Buffett, Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
and then I don't know. You said Kevin Hart. I used to love Charlie Sheen, but he's probably gone a bit AWOL now.
Yeah, he has a bit, has he?
Yeah, one of them fun Hollywood guys. Yeah. Not P Diddy.
No,
no way.
Hey, tell us about and it's launched on Monday, right? The app.
Yep.
But FitnessMates, this is your new venture, startup venture. So yeah, a little bit of merch here happening. Branding. Startup tech company.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it all about?
Well, it's a tech company obviously in the fitness world, and it started with a couple of conversations with a couple of really close mates, which we sort of went out for a paddle one day, and we had a couple of kayaks there, and we used to love going for a paddle and a walk, get a coffee, walk back, paddle back, right? It was sort of about an hour and 20 every Saturday morning during summer, and then we're sort of paddling back, and we've seen 3 or 4 kayaks just sitting up on my mate's waterfront there, and I was thinking, how good would it be if we had someone else we could just put it out in the morning and some of the boys wanted to come paddling. Yeah, but no one's seen our message. And I was thinking, anyway, just let it go. Then we're trying to find a boxing guy to take us, me, Latsy, and Semi through some pad work and just to do some body sparring, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Mate, and we're in the fitness world. We know everyone in the fitness industry there couldn't organise this boxing.
Yeah.
It just couldn't get it going. Anyway, we finally got it started. I think it can't be that hard. Like, what happens if there's people out there at the moment just want to go and experience a different opportunity in the fitness industry somewhere? Like, do they really have to jump on and do all these different things to try and organise it?
Yeah.
So that's when eventually FitnessMates actually come to the forefront. We started talking about it, and then the app was sort of designed, and then we started building it. So basically, the best way to explain FitnessMates is everyone probably use realestate.com or car sales or Airbnb. Yeah, it's just another booking platform, really.
Mm-hmm.
But the best thing for us is that we're doing the exact same thing as realestate.com, but in the fitness industry. So whatever you're doing out there at the moment in the health, fitness, and lifestyle space, you're just doing your own thing. Keep doing your own thing, but we want you to jump on to FitnessMates and use it as realestate.com. FitnessMates is going to be the realestate.com of the fitness industry. So you can go on there, put up a gym session, a walking session, running session, a paddleboarding session, a hiking session, anything you can think of, whatever your brain can think of, and you want to start either making money out of it or promoting your business or creating opportunities where you can help people get off the lounge and start their fitness journey. Also, start getting some extra income for yourself. It basically ticks a box for everyone. And
so who's your primary client?
Everyone. So when I say primary client, I literally everyone. But if you're a gym owner
Mm-hmm.
and you've got classes that aren't full and you want to fill them up, jump on FitnessMates and get an opportunity to go to a whole different demographic of people that you haven't got to before. Yeah.
So it's almost like an Uber for gyms in that sense, right?
Identical. Exact same thing.
You've got the facility, you've got the asset.
Yeah.
It's probably utilised to 70%. Here's a community that will tap in and lift that 70% to 85. So,
but at the moment too, like if you want to go and find something, let's just say I want to go do jiu-jitsu. I've got to jump on Google. I've got to type in everything in jiu-jitsu. And then I've got to find the areas. Then I've got to try and work out which one's the best one, because then I've got to try and read the reviews. Who am I going to talk to? Then you've got to make a phone call, and then you've got to ring up. Well, on FitnessMates, you can go into the area. I'm in Cronulla on the weekend. Go in the area in a 15K radius. It will tell you all the jiu-jitsus that are on there.
So you can
look at it. There'll be all the reviews on there. It's exactly like Instagram. You can scroll down, look at all the photos, videos going, oh, you know what? This looks awesome. Great reviews. Click a button, you're in.
Yeah, right.
You can literally book, sign a waiver over the app.
Off you go. But that's just one example, right? Like there's 1,000 examples that you can do. Mate, look, you've got a podcast studio at the moment. It's not getting used, just say.
Yeah.
Why not throw it up on FitnessMates and say, come and hire my podcast studio, use it for X, Y, Z, book it in, bang, click, it's booked in for that date, that hour, that time.
Yeah.
It's going to be a booking platform as well.
Yeah,
so
nice.
For ticketing.
For events and what have you. So boot camps or something? Or
charities, foundation.
Foundation
walks.
I've got a mate who's got a nines comp in the Gold Coast in January, and we'll run all the booking through that. So
nice.
you can buy a ticket online, turn up, scan it, walk in.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. So
and that nines comp that he's talking about it's a big competition. They've done a great job with it last year, and this year looks huge. It's on KO, and that's going to be massive, and it's sort of really going to streamline the way that you can sort of get your tickets and get into the gate instead of having to sort of find it all through different protocols. Just straight on the FitnessMates.
I think it was turn up and pay at the door last year.
Yeah,
not this year.
And that's
FitnessMates solving problems.
Yeah.
Solving problems. So you've launched it this week, right? But how long did it take to get to there? And what were the challenges that you had in getting there?
Well, first of all, it was about 18 months, almost 2 years. And obviously there's a lot of setbacks here and there.
Yeah.
But the good thing I've got to give a massive rap is the team behind FitnessMates. Like at the moment, me and Lats are the face of it, obviously.
Yeah.
And we're here, but we've got an outstanding team. Really good people behind us who are very, very smart. We've got a great development team, and we've got obviously some people who have just jumped on, and obviously Joey and Jar and Jimmy and those guys, amazing guys. But we've got a great team who everyone likes to have a bit of fun, but everyone's obviously on the same page and wants the same outcome.
So an audience listening to this that are contemplating a startup, right? They're a bit entrepreneurial. They might be in business like you guys with Unite.
Yeah.
And wanting to develop another business, or they mightn't have dipped their toe into the water yet. In a startup environment, what sort of skills have you got to have in a team, do you think? Are they different from your perspective?
Absolutely. Well, my strengths are totally different to Lattie's strengths, and the guys that I was saying in the team that we've got at the moment all got great strengths. They're very smart at setting up a start to finish and a bit of a plan behind it.
Yeah.
And, the process, to get the process in place. I wouldn't say that's our forte, is getting the process in place.
But you got sales, you got social media.
Correct.
You got partnerships.
But we've got a couple of guys who said, okay, this is what we're going to do. They went and designed it. Then they come back to the design. We get us all in a room and then did a bit of a pitch. This is how we're going. What do we think? Then got questions of everyone. And then we started to put that together. But you know what? The one thing is that if you've got the idea and you want to have a crack, go and have a crack. And that's what we sort of learnt before.
Do you think?
Have a crack.
Because what are you going to lose? Everyone, you're going to have people going to have opinions anyway. People are going to go, mate, I hope they kill it.
Yeah.
Going to be up there and go, I hope they fail. There's everything that you thinking is happening right now, right? So it doesn't matter if you're out of shape, you're in shape. Everyone's going to have an opinion one way or another.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, who cares? Let them have an opinion while you're actually having a crack. And then when you do succeed,
is perseverance a big thing, right?
This is where the old rugby league skills get tested, I think, and the adaptability and even we had an app developer fold early on.
Yeah.
Really?
So we had to get a new app developer.
But then
there has been
other
challenges.
People that are super patient.
Yes.
I think if that happened, it was just us. We'd probably go, oh, what are we doing? What are we going to do? But people patient, smart, knew exactly the protocol and what we needed to do to make sure that we didn't have to stress too much of that and move straight over to the next app team to continue
find
to
another
build.
option.
So it's again, I think it's about putting together a group of people that you really trust
Yes.
love being around, having fun with, and making sure that everyone just keeps doing their own little bits and pieces to make sure that the process is moving forward and we're doing the right thing.
So if you're going to be a mix of being bloody minded to the vision, but also being able to listen and adapt, as you say, is there sort of a mix of that? Have you found that in this process?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to listen, and sometimes we get told things we don't want to get told.
Don't want to hear,
but that's part and parcel of getting feedback, right? You need to be able to take on feedback, positive and negative, and that's what we had in the sporting world as well. So,
but I think that's going to be a big part of the app. Is now we're in market, taking feedback off the market, and that's what I mean about adapting and maneuvering as we go along. Because you want to make the whole experience of being involved in FitnessMates awesome.
But see, I think that's so exciting, right? Because you've developed a baby that doesn't exist, right? In a market, and now you got to bring the baby up.
Yes.
And in the big wide world, like it's been born, and it's experiencing
literally
right,
a couple of weeks old. Well, week old.
And I think like any entrepreneur that does that, I think it's wonderful because there'll be elements that won't work. There'll be elements that'll be screaming success.
Yeah, and
there'll be others that'll be okay, but to be prepared to put it out there. And I guess, you probably reflect on the footy field. There were some times where, you didn't quite know the outcome, but you had to put it out there, right? Because 100%. If you didn't, it was a bit like the example of Cleary against the Broncos. Like if you didn't put it out there, could have been a very different result.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. But that's
even with what we're doing now is that we know that we haven't put everything in that we want to put in because you can't have everything straight off the bat, So we've got to come up with a product that's ready to go now that can hopefully give the best experience, and then we're only going to be able to learn from what happens now. So like you said, we're a baby, small steps. Like Uber had to start somewhere, right? And I think the experiences that people have with Uber aren't the experience they've had with it today.
No, that's right.
So they were born, they had to learn, they had to get all the information and work out, okay, this is working really well, this isn't, let's get rid of this, let's keep working on this, people are liking this part of the app. That's going to be the exact same thing for us, and we're open to all that.
And those steps, I think, are very interesting in a business environment. We provide a lot of advisory services to private businesses. We recently did a Choose Chats and Tunes, which we're going to do with you guys, with Jaquil, Marin and myself, with a famous friend of mine and client, Ben Gourlo, who owns Reliable Food Distributors down at Preston's. And I got to know Ben 15 years ago, right? And it was a food distribution business. And he had it in an industrial module that was about 180 square metres with a mezzanine. And you'd go up to the mezzanine, there'd be a ping pong table, a couch like this, and a couple of desks. And that's where it was run. And he had a tucker box freezer and had one or two trucks. And his two cousins were in the business with him, right, 15 years ago. Today, it's a business over 20 million turnover, and we just visited last week his warehouse. It's 3,500 square metres, under roof, cool store, cold store. He services 800-900 customers Sydney-wide. I asked him about his attitude to investment, right, in terms of those steps. When do you invest, Ben, and when do you know, and how do you do it? He said, James, look, some people in business, they just want it all and they want it all on day one. So they splurge it, right? And then they try and fill it. He said, my attitude is more creepy crawly. If I'm over capacity a bit, well, I wear the pain, but I've got to prove it up before I go the next step. And that's always in a startup, but in any business, that investment cycle about when do you invest more money, hard earns, at risk, and being confident that the market's going to soak it up. I think that's a real challenge for a business owner. Yeah. But it's a key one. And you're feeling it, and you have felt it. I mean, FitnessMates, what's success going to look like in 12 months' time, do you think, gentlemen?
I was going to say, and hopefully we're catching up in 3 to 5 years and you're valuing it at about 12, 15 billion. That'd be nice.
Look,
we're gonna have a goal. We're gonna have a goal.
Our fees are
There's
very,
our North
our
Star.
fees are very
No,
high.
I'm
But
with
we'd
you.
be delighted.
I'm with you, James. Seriously, I like the idea of the journey. We talk about it all the time. We've just got to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
And we're not looking that far ahead, to be fair. We don't really know. Our goal, look, we went live on Monday.
Yeah.
Our goal is to go live on Monday. So we've ticked the box, right? Now it's about finding out the information on the back end and how many downloads did we get, who's downloaded iPhones, Androids, who's getting all that. How's that all working? What's the feedback like? We don't know what next week holds.
Yes.
But we're excited about what it holds because information is definitely going to continue to coming through, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? In 6 months' time, we don't know where we're going to be, but I know there's one thing, we're not going to give up on it.
No, I love it.
We're going to continue to build and make sure that we make this thing work. It's just at the end of the day, we can't think that far ahead because I think if you do, you'll lose track of what's important. And the important parts for us at the moment is just ticking the boxes. And again, remember I was saying before, right at the start, it was always about a yearly goal, then a monthly, and then break it down to a weekly and a daily and an hourly. This is the exact same thing for FitnessMates.
There you go. So one game at a time, eh?
Yeah.
One game, one day, one training session, see where we go.
Do think health and fitness is a very important thing in our world. And I'm a bit religious about it, to be honest. I mentioned a mutual acquaintance of ours, Greg Waddell. Right?
Yeah.
So Greg and I have developed, of recent times, a movement called net workouts. And the plan around net workouts is to bring business people together initially in Western Sydney. So business people, entrepreneurs, go-getters, people want to have a crack, people representing a business. But people wanting to make really strong connections and networks, which is what we were talking about before, but in a health and fitness environment.
I think it's changed that way.
Yeah. So we feel that I don't know about gone are the days, I don't want to be rude, but stuffy boardrooms with tables and what have you, they've got their place. Don't get me wrong. I've spent many a year in them. I created a number of them, but I think in a health and fitness environment, when people are all vulnerable together, they're all training together, right? You get it's a different platform to meet people and connect, and so I think it's really important.
Yeah, sorry that you piqued me there. So no. I listened to a podcast on the Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett, and it was I can't remember her name, but she may have been a female psychologist, and was just saying how disconnected the world is now because of social media and technology and mobile phones. And she used the example of fitness and people training together and coming together, and that's FitnessMates is essentially that, right? Like so you're working on your physical and mental health, and you're bringing people together to connect. And that's obviously health and fitness worldwide is growing year on year on year.
Huge.
I remember you told me a stat not long ago, but it's crazy.
But they say we're the most connected we've ever been, but the most disconnected.
Yeah,
it's weird, eh?
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
But and the other part he's talking about the connection part. It was his idea to put the connection part into.
Is that right?
So he was pretty happy on that, So.
Yeah. So did you support him, Louis, or no?
I did. I loved his. I loved his. Do you want to hear his story about it? Like I said, why do you want to do it? He goes, "This is his story."
Oh, sorry. I think we've got to wrap up.
no, this is no joke. I literally, this was like a week before Strava come out, right? And brought out the dating app features.
Yeah.
And because there's a stigma attached to dating apps.
Yeah.
And I'm like, mate, I go, if you have profiles and people can see and connect.
Yeah.
I go, it's a dating app without stigma.
Where did you meet? You met on a fitness app. You didn't meet on a dating app.
There you go.
FitnessMates. Yeah. So we'll be creating that many marriages.
It was legit to meet on a fitness app, but not on
rsvp.com. No, not on Hinge or Tinder. There is a stigma. Oh, Tinder. Ugh.
Who's that?
Huh?
Yeah. I love it. I don't want to end on a negative, but I want to tease this out. This has all been about the talent and skills, and sort of taking the veil off what goes on in a professional sporting career. And then thinking about how relevant it is for the business game. Injuries. Did you guys face much in the way of injuries?
Yeah, I had a lot. I had 4 shoulder reconstructions, ankles, fingers, hands, cancer. I had a lot.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah? What about you? Were you coming off the bench? You probably didn't have any injuries.
No. I had 2 shoulder recos before I was 20. Syndesmosis ankle, and then thumb surgery. And then I had a mild doctor at Penrith, actually.
Really?
I got a rib injury.
Yes.
In a semi-final, and by pre-season time at start, it's still no good. Like, come in, I'll give you cortisone. And anyway, doesn't do it under ultrasound. I'm like, you sure you don't do it under ultrasound? Punctured me lung.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to
that was another foot injury.
You didn't have to go onto the field to get that one done?
No. It got me out a week of pre-season. So, to be honest, I wasn't too disappointed.
Didn't have to do the knapsack stairs. No. Managing an injury when you're in the middle of it, what's it like as an athlete? Because, you're there, you're so focused, you want to be the best. That's your career. But like, you're out of the game.
Lonely.
Is it hard?
The word for me is lonely, because usually when you're in a team, you're out there doing everything with the team. But when you've got an injury, there's not many people that are injured. And then you're doing your rehabilitation, you're doing your physio. The boys are out in the field, you're in the gym doing your rehabilitation. You're never really with the team anymore. So you sort of get secluded a little bit.
Yes.
Purely because, we've all got to do our things to get our bodies right. So it's a lonely place. But at the same time, we're very lucky, right? We got the best of the best on hand. We've got physio on a daily basis. We're getting told what to do. And then whenever we need something, we need to go see a doctor, or we need to go get a pain-killing injection, or, we need to get an ultrasound, or whatever it is, we're there. It's literally a phone call. We're in the next hour.
And are there players that are better at being receptive to an environment like that in terms of the advice they're getting from all those people that are marshalling around them, versus some that aren't as receptive? Or is the system so strong that it drags them along regardless?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think many rugby league players are experts in injury. So you need to take advice off these people who are skilled professionals. So, but and this is actually, you probably feel the same. You get to know your body really, really well, and you sort of know there are things that that work for you. Just say even prep for a game, and if you're carrying an injury or whatever, and say the trainer's like,
yes,
go do your squats. You're like, man, my body's not feeling today. And if they're trying to force you to do it, you just don't do it.
Yeah, so
I know that for this fella, even though he loves his weights now, he managed his body a lot when he played rugby league.
You got to listen to your body, and the other thing is too, like, even when you come back from an injury, like, let's just say you get an injury, I just use like a meniscus tear, for example.
Yes.
In your knee, they might say, "Oh, mate, you're gonna be out 6 weeks," and you go, "Okay," you just take that on board. But also the other thing is that they don't understand how we heal, right? So we might go, it's a 6-week plan, but 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, you're saying, I feel sweet. There's no drama with it. Now you got to try and get that across to your physios and say, mate, I can't feel anything. It's doing really good. Let's amp it up, but they won't. So you sort of got to, again, it comes back to building that relationship and trust with your physio. If you're doing all the right things and they know you're doing all the right things, well, they'll start to lean on you and trust you because you've done everything right. So they go, you know what, maybe we can amp it up because he is saying it's feeling pretty good. But if you're one of those blokes who doesn't do it, just rocks up and you haven't built that relationship, well, you're pretty much just sitting there to your 6 weeks. So
I love that. You've dropped a couple of gems there, lads, because if you think about the business environment, right, businesses go through hard times. I've been through the global financial crisis with some clients, right, where they were $150 million turnover business one day, and the next day they were 30, right, and they had had all this lending on gear out in mine sites, right, just like that, right. But you say, listen to your body, listen to your business, right? Listen to your business through that time. I think is important, and that sounds a bit weird, right? But I think the dudes that don't listen to their body, they get into trouble, right? Because their appetite's bigger than what they can really have. If you understand what I'm saying,
sure.
So I think ego can get in the road
massively
in a hard time, right? Because you're thinking, as a business owner, you're thinking, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills, so I'll just forget about that for the moment.
But it's more perception out, what are they going to think about me?
Exactly.
And it's very keeping up with Jones' world that we live in now, where people are probably more worried about the perception of people than the reality of what's happened within their business that they know.
Yeah. So interested to tease that out.
Obviously, you've got an end game, right? You want to have, you want to make money out of it, but I said, I don't think our lives changed too much. I think even if we did get out and we did make some good money out, we would probably end up doing something else just to keep our lives busy. But we actually
get to hang with our mates
That's
every day.
pretty cool.
Get to see our kids go play sport.
But as that is the journey, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as you understand that it is a genuine journey, it actually takes a lot of pressure off you.
Yeah.
But it puts that pressure in a different way. It's like moving energy into a way that is just, amazing. It just
I
drives
love energy.
I
love the energy, and the right energy, and not manifesting, but where your North Star is, and you're working towards it. Yeah.
Well, that's right, and I'm firmly of the view in terms of valuing businesses and looking at teams within businesses.
Yeah,
that us humans, like, forget about AI, and they're going to. It is and will play a increasing role in aspects of our businesses, but human talent in business, we don't know. We've only scraped the surface of how productive and innovative we can be, really. But it's about getting the elements right so the energy's right to drive that, And you guys have revealed some of that in terms of what you're trying to do with your startup team and getting the right people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's critical.
Yeah.
That's why I'm still, valuing businesses and talking to business people, because I just get off on it. Right? It's good stuff. Like it's amazing, 100%. Right?
Because there's no such thing as retirement if you love what you do, right? I have this conversation all the time. Like if you're doing something that you're passionate about, enjoy getting out of bed. Because what are you going to do? What's the alternative? Go get on the piss and go and play the pokies, or?
Well, it's a very narrow world.
No, I think it changes though. It would change in some ways. Like instead of getting out and going on the piss, it might be like, okay, I'm going to take business overseas, but I want to go and enjoy life and travel a bit.
Oh, you can still travel.
Well, yes, but I think it's making sure your mind is renovated.
Always something going
in
on.
Certain ways.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all wired slightly differently, but anyways.
Yeah, well, he's wired differently. He messaged me. I told you, 3:45. That's a bit different.
You kick around with Andrew Moore on ABC.
Yeah.
Right, and I mean, he's an amazing commentator for me. I love listening to the footy and that call. But lads, game, set, bingo.
Yeah, there you go. Feels weird hearing someone else say game, set, bingo.
Oh, is that what he says?
Yeah, that's his calling.
That's what he says.
Thanks, mate. That was good.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming along.
Yeah, too easy. Thanks for having us.
It's been a pleasure, guys, and we wish you all the very best with FitnessMates.
Thanks.
Let's go.
Yeah, and thanks for revealing a few things. I think there's a lot of similarities, with skills and talent.
Oh, for sure.
And over into business,
and
excited to see where you take it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's actually been fun.
Yeah.